it's about the location, proposed location of this program. And so certainly everyone has a right to have their concerns. And certainly everyone has a right to voice those concerns. And we want this evening to afford the opportunities to do so. What's imperative to me as the superintendent of this school district is to make sure that whatever your thoughts are, whatever your opinions are, that they're fully informed. And I say that because I've seen some things that have been written in recent days and weeks. I've seen some things that have been said in recent days and weeks that are simply inaccurate from a factual standpoint. So it's imperative this evening that we make sure that we provide thorough information, factual information that is explicit, that is made crystal clear, and then once everyone has that baseline factual understanding, then of course to each their own. You form whatever opinion you want to have and express it accordingly. So I'm going to give a presentation to start out here this evening, and then we will transition into an extended period of public comment when anyone who has signed up, or if anyone did not have a chance to sign up, please know that you will be more than welcome to do so. So as we talk about CR Star Center, and that's what, of course, we will focus on this evening, we can't talk about the CR Star Center in a vacuum. What we have in front of you, and many of you have seen this previously, is as a district, this past spring, we developed a 5-year master facilities plan. Timeline to go with it, a budget to go with it, and you can see there that the CR Star Center is really only one of 5 or 6 projects that are up there. So what else is up there? We have 2 turf fields. We have the replacement of the aging turf field at North. That has seen its life expectancy now, and then we have a new build of a multi-purpose turf field at Council Rock High School South. Also up there, we have the renovations of Hillcrest Elementary and Richboro Elementary, and we also have the renovations and addition to Sewell Finestone Elementary. So this plan has been out there for a while. In fact, the board approved at its April meeting the turf fields, the CR Star Center, and Sewell Finestone Elementary. So I offer that to you and to the public because I've heard a couple things about, hey, maybe the school district hasn't communicated this enough, put this out there enough. Let me be specific just for a moment with these communications. In that course of time, the CR Star Center and this overall plan has been discussed at 5 separate facility committee meetings beginning in April, at 3 different school board meetings beginning in April. The master plan, we developed a 1-page, simple, at-a-glance document that was posted to the website, that was also sent home. We did a video, I did a video over the summer about our new strategic plan, and this was part of that video. That was sent out over the summer, and we also sent out this information via our end of the week e-news that we do on a weekly basis to almost 10,000 subscribers. So we feel like we have definitely done our due diligence from a communication standpoint, being transparent in doing so. Any of the meetings that I referenced obviously have been publicly advertised, they've been live streamed, they've been televised. You can still go back on our YouTube channel that you can find right on our website and be able to view any or all of those meetings. So that's that. Now, when we take a look at this plan and what this plan accomplishes, it's ambitious, and I will tell you that these individual component parts are very much intertwined in this plan in order for this plan to be successful. So, what do we accomplish in this plan by the summer of 2023? We accomplish improved teaching and learning conditions for these 5 Council Rock school communities. Very importantly, especially for those of you that have children or are children who attend these schools or teach at these schools, we will air condition the 3 remaining CR schools that currently do not have air conditioning, those being Hillcrest, Richboro L, and Sewell Finestone Elementary School. And once we reach that point, we will be able to say that all of our CR schools are now air conditioned. And that's very important in the first few weeks of the school year, the final few weeks of the school year, and if you haven't been in a non-air conditioned school, you're not missing out. I'll say that. And then we get to these three programs. It provides certainty for these programs, each of which we will dive into this evening, Achieve, Sloan, and Twilight. And the reason why we need certainty, and I use the word need intentionally, we need certainty because we have been leasing space at the Law School Admissions Council building. You see the acronym LSAC up there. You're going to see LSAC a lot as we go through this presentation this evening. We've been there since, I think, 2006. And so that's a long time to be there. We had a multi-year contract with them. That now is a year-to-year contract. And they have, and we have, a 6-month out clause. And the reason why I bring that up is because LSAC has been taking a look organizationally at some different possibilities, including the possibility of moving out of the Newtown area. I don't know where that stands at this point, but knowing all that uncertainty, it became imperative for us, incumbent upon us, to make sure that we have a permanent home for these three very impactful and effective programs. So the last piece here is more fiscal in nature, and we'll drill into this more in the next slide, that through this plan we will be saving the district budget, saving taxpayers accordingly, $3.9 million over the course of this plan, simply and exclusively through the use of Richboro Middle School as a swing school. There are additional savings to this plan. In fact, the additional savings total almost $10 million. But to hone in here this evening, we're talking about just using Richboro Middle School as a swing space. That move alone saves us over a 5-year period, $3.9 million. So let's take a look at that to make some sense out of it. So what does using the former RMS as a swing school do? First of all, it expedites 4 of these projects. Basically the 4 elementary schools that you see here that would typically be 2-year projects into 1-year projects. You achieve significant savings from a labor standpoint in particular by virtue of doing that. The second piece, also important fiscally, but also important from a safety standpoint, is that we eliminate the need to purchase modular classrooms for, in this case, both Hillcrest and Richboro L. So if we would be doing that renovation as a 2-year renovation at either or both of those schools, Hillcrest and Richboro, as you do a phase and you go through the building phase by phase, the phase that is being updated, that's being renovated, those students would have to go out into modular classrooms. So A, that's an expenditure that we don't need to incur if we are able to use the Richboro Middle School as we have been doing. And B, from a safety standpoint, it's far less than ideal. There's a reason why 5 years ago, Council Rock decided to eradicate ourselves of those classroom-based modulars. I don't want to go back there. I hope that we don't have to go back there, and this plan doesn't have us going back there. Importantly as well, that third bullet point, indicating separation of active construction from the teaching and learning environments. The kids, the teachers, the learning environments, the classrooms, nowhere close to the construction, completely different campuses via this plan by using the former RMS as a swing school. And then, as indicated, we do capture these 5 years of continuous savings. So what does that look like? So last year, Wrightstown was in former RMS. Savings there, $645,000. That $645,000 represents the collapsing of that project from 2 years into 1 year. We would not have needed modular classrooms at Wrightstown because our plan for that project at that time, had we stayed there, would have been to have partitions up in the gym area and put the classrooms there. So that's why that dollar figure is what it is. You see that same dollar figure this year for Rolling Hills. This year, Rolling Hills is occupying the former RMS, and likewise, you have a savings of $645,000. That's by virtue of collapsing from 2 years into 1, and because that renovation is completely undoing the open pods and creating the more conventional corridors with classrooms off of those corridors. We really could not have done the modular route with that school. So again, savings are $645,000. Now our plan for next school year, beginning this fall, less than a year from now, is to put the Achieve, Sloan, and Twilight programs into the former RMS. So you see the savings of $287,000. Where does that come from? That is the amount of our annual lease today that we pay to LSAC. So obviously we would not need to pay that $287,000 to LSAC, and thus we have that savings. Now you get down to Hillcrest and Richboro, and you see them in successive years. So Hillcrest would be done first. Hillcrest is in the former RMS in 21-22. Their one-year remodel renovation project is being done that year, and the savings is 1.2. Why is the savings 1.2 whenever the earlier ones were 645? Because now it's twofold. One, we're talking about collapsing the process from 2 years to 1, so you get those savings. And two, we will not need modular classrooms. If we would attempt to do either or both of those projects on site, both of those things would happen. It would become a 2-year project, and we would need modular classrooms because we're not doing any additions, so we would have no choice but to have modular classrooms. That's why those savings are $1.2 million each. Now, why I take a bit of time to explain this and to show this to you is this. We're here tonight to talk about the Achieve, Sloan, and Twilight programs and the proposed CR Star Center build on the former RMS campus. We are on a trajectory with Northampton Township officials to be seeking formal approval of our plans on December 18th. As long as we are successful in obtaining that approval on December 18th, this plan goes into effect. If for any reason we get delayed and we don't have approval on December 18th, now Hillcrest, we're unable to do what we want to do in the 21-22 school year, so that bumps that back. We're unable to do Richboro in 22-23, that bumps that back. So either we're just bumping everything back and hoping that Richboro Middle stays on board, stays viable for a longer period of time, or alternatively, we would turn each of those into 2-year projects, bring modular classrooms in, and not capture either of the $1.2 million in savings. So there's a lot of money involved in this, and again, from an air conditioning standpoint, from a tired infrastructure standpoint, I know I have a desire, first and foremost, from a CR Star Center, and you'll get a sense of why here, to see that program go through. I think it's doing right by our kids. But likewise, I want to see Hillcrest be done for the 22-23 school year, fully air conditioned, up to date, and I want to see the same thing for Richboro L the next year, and in the process of doing so, save the district money and by extension save taxpayers' money. So that is that piece. Now, why a CR Star Center? And why a CR Star Center on the former RMS campus? Long list, heavy slide. Bear with me, it's kind of just all there for you, and we will post this on the website tomorrow morning. So, to go back to a point that we've already said, we have uncertainty right now with the LSAC lease. It's unacceptable for us to have uncertainty for any school, any program, or in this case, any 3 programs. So, we have got to have a solution to that. 2, the district over the years that we've been with LSAC has spent approximately $8 million in lease money. Our current spend is $287,000. Our spend when I first came to the district 4 years ago was significantly higher than that. The spend 5 years before that was significantly higher than that. And the reason being, as you see a couple points below, we currently lease 17,000 square feet over there. At one time, we leased 49,000 square feet. We had the knock over there, we had more space for these programs, And so bit by bit, this has been sort of crunching downwards. So not only have we invested that lease money, but the terms and conditions of the contract that we have with LSAC has required us to do significant facility upkeep and improvements. And we're not talking about just changing light bulbs. We're talking about replacing 10 or 12, not just 2 or 3, but 10 or 12 rooftop HVAC units. We're talking about building an entire internal wall. We're talking about replacing window blinds, significant painting, and the list could go on and on and on. So that's additional money above and beyond that $8 million or this year's $287,000. And then you just get to the piece that fiscal lens or no fiscal lens. Let's just look at this educationally. The LSAC facility is simply not educationally ideal, and anyone who has been in that facility would have a hard time arguing against that. It is aging. The space is inadequate. As stated, it's about 17,000 square feet. For some comparison there, our proposed build of the CR Star Center on the former RMS campus is just shy of 26,000 square feet. That's a considerable difference. Importantly, as we're looking for a permanent home, the LSAC location has been fantastic because with the Achieve program in particular, we have got to have proximity to local businesses. A lot of pre-vocational work has done, transitioning these students into adulthood. So 661 Penn Street, the address of LSAC, has been fantastic in that regard. And the former Richboro Middle School campus is just as fantastic in that regard. So when people say, hey, why there? That's one of the reasons why there. Now, I will tell you that we went through a process of having engaged contractually with commercial real estate agents about a year ago to say, take a look within our entire 72 square mile footprint. Look for existing buildings, existing structures that might be able to be retrofit and made to work for these 3 programs. They did that work. We got constant reports. I got constant reports. Others on my team got constant reports, and there simply were no tangible results that came out of that, unfortunately. So that led us to, hey, if we're going to build, then let's build on land that we already own. There are 0 land acquisition costs. We have the space. The proximity to businesses is good. So it just made all the sense in the world. The cost of this project is estimated at $13.8 million. I received a question earlier today in a meeting that I was in about, hey, what would have happened to just retrofit the existing Richboro Middle School? Maybe not now, but a few years down the road, once we're done using it as shown on the previous slide. That price tag, Doug, I don't remember what it was, but it was definitely north of $20 million. So this is, by a significant margin, the least expensive way that we can do this to get permanency and to get it in a location that is right for these students. So, what are the programs? This is the most important part of all this. And let's start with the Sloan School, because I've probably heard more misnomers about the Sloan School than the other 2 programs combined over the past several days and even weeks. It is important to note that the Sloan School is a direct extension of Council Rock North and a direct extension of Council Rock South. We serve about 35 students annually in that program, 10th through 12th grades. And it is really important to note that any Sloan student may return to North or South, whichever is their home school, at any time they would like. We don't place them there. We don't sentence them there. They're not obligated to be there for X number of days or weeks or months. If a student wants to return to their home school, they may. There's a process that we go through. I will tell you, I'm not real familiar with that process because it hardly ever happens. There's a reason why students want to be in the Sloan School to begin with in the vast majority of cases. Most of them were unable to find success in the big comprehensive high school, they do find success in the Sloan School. And so while we have a process in place to field those requests, we simply do not get many of those requests at all. So this next piece gets into, very importantly, why students attend Sloan. And I've heard a lot about, hey, this is an alternative school, this is for the bad kids, the kids with behavior problems, the kids who are disruptive. No. Flat out, no. That is the model of an alternative school 2 decades ago. That is not the model of an alternative school today. What we are talking about today are students who are dealing with issues of anxiety in many cases. Not every case, but many cases. When you're dealing with anxiety, attendance tends to suffer. Your credit accruement tends to suffer. We tend to fall behind academically. All these things fit together. And sometimes it's just trying to find your place in a big comprehensive high school that has 1,700 kids or has over 2,000 kids, as our schools do. Discipline is never, literally never, the primary reason why a student attends Sloan. In fact, we have paperwork, we have criteria for a student to be referred to Sloan, and discipline or behavior isn't even listed. It's not even part of the criteria. Now, is that to say that a student dealing with one or more of these other conditions or issues might also misbehave sometimes? Of course not. Kids are kids. And we have that same thing in North and we have that same thing in South. But that is not the model of Sloan. At one time, it was probably more true than it was. Today, it absolutely is not. And I'll tell you, and I hope that you know this already because we've put this out there far and wide, we have a new strategic plan. The epicenter of that strategic plan is student wellness. And that's for all kids. But what I would say is that the Sloan School in particular, as a public education program, is a shining example of a public school district, 2 public high schools, tending to the wellness, serving the needs of their most vulnerable students. And to be, I told you I'd be explicit and transparent with you. I'm telling you now that the need exists to expand Sloan in the future to the middle one. The board has talked about that a few different times in the past. The needs are there. Again, they're not behavior needs, they're not discipline needs, they're needs around anxiety and some conditions that follow anxiety or loosely or tightly associated with anxiety. And I wasn't necessarily going to say this, but I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get personal. I have a family member, female family member, teenager. And she is, I'm biased, yes, but she is the kindest, sweetest, most gentle soul that I've ever met. And to even think about her being some kind of a behavior problem or something, it's kind of laughable. She would not hurt a soul. She feels things deeply and is sensitive. And she doesn't live in Council Rock. If she lived in Council Rock, she would go to Sloan. And as a loving family member, I would want her at Sloan. She deals with anxiety. She deals with a couple other issues associated with anxiety. I love her with all my heart and my soul, and that's where I would want her because that would be the right place for her. And I know the kids in that program, I know the adults in that program, some of whom are here this evening, and I know that that is where she will flourish, just like countless other CR kids have flourished, frankly, for decades. So, that's my personal aside. And my last point on Sloan is this, because I've heard talk about property values, I've heard talk about the library being across the street, I've heard talk about Richboro L being right down the road, sort of diagonal from it. LSAC has been the home for the past 13 years, as stated. Prior to that, Sloan was located in the Sale House. Sale House is a building that is still there. right beside Goodnoe Elementary School. It's not on the other side of the street. It's on the same side of the street. It's not a busy highway. It's a residential road, and it literally is on the same campus. So what I can tell you in my 4.5 years in this district, with LSAC, 661 Penn Street, Google Earth it, you'll see that there are some businesses around. You'll see that there are some homes around. The kids have access really to the same kind of area in Newtown that they will have in Richboro. In my 4.5 years, not one single complaint. Dr. Lambert, I had asked him. Dr. Lambert oversees all of these programs directly. He knows of no complaints from neighbors, from schools, from anyone, frankly. And the fact that it was literally side by side with Goodnoe Elementary for 6 years, I think says a lot about the success of this program. As I've said in the past, we have a long history with this program, and it is a very successful program in a multitude of ways. So please understand who these students are. Please understand who these students aren't, because it matters. Achieve program. Achieve. Another acronym, because we love acronyms in education. Achieve stands for Achieving Confidence, Happiness, Independence, Educational and Vocational Training through Experiences. This program provides federally mandated services to students with disabilities ages 18 to 21. If you don't know that, the age span from a federal law standpoint, IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, actually spans from age 3 the whole way up to age 21. So these are some of our kiddos on the back end, obviously, of that age continuum. Achieve is in its 7th year of existence in Council Rock. Like Sloan, serves approximately 35 students annually. And again, to reiterate this point, it teaches social independence through pre-vocational experiences. That's why we need the close proximity to businesses, because it's an essential part of their day, and it's all about successfully transitioning these kiddos out into the real world, the adult world. And then really, we have so many examples of existing businesses, existing places of establishment, where we have partnerships between the Achieve program and these local businesses that are in place, have been in place, and fortunately will continue to be in place. And then I just put a special note at the bottom that Sloan and Achieve, it's actually a value add for us to have those two programs together. There is significant intentional intermingling of the students in those two programs. It's value added for both of them, and to see some of the work that comes out of that, some of the collaboration, some of the projects that they get involved in together is quite impressive and important to note. Twilight, probably the simplest of the three. The Twilight program, unlike the other two, is not a full-day program. It runs from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, thus the name Twilight, and it runs 4 days a week, not 5 days a week. So it runs Monday through Thursday. And this program is really designed to meet the educational needs, primarily educational needs of students who will be returning to either North or South. And students end up in Twilight for one of two reasons. One is a policy violation, and 2 is an extended absence. Now, what does extended absence means? It can mean a bunch of different things. Typically, it's something that's medical in nature, been dealing with it, and this is kind of our soft landing for those students to transition them back into the comprehensive high school experience. What does a policy violation mean? It means that we have, in Council Rock, to be, again, explicit and frank, we have strict policies. We probably have the strictest policies around when we're talking about alcohol possession, alcohol consumption. You have a Council Rock student that at prom consumes alcohol, whether it's a sip or a whole bottle. In Council Rock, that's a 45-day expulsion. That child goes to Twilight. In a neighboring district, that might be a 10-day suspension. So I share that with you not to begin a debate about whether our policy should be what it is. That's a debate for another day. But to tell you that when you see this, that we have students in here that violate policy, please understand, because I've gotten to know some of these students pretty well. We're talking about a lot of kids who are straight A or close to straight A, fantastic attendance. They've already, in many cases, been accepted into a top-tier college. They are going places. They're going to be successful. They've already been successful. They made a poor choice. So understand that that is part of the dynamic. In fact, probably the biggest dynamic that we see from a policy violation standpoint. Nonetheless, knowing that we have some folks who live in the vicinity of the area that we're talking about, who are concerned about whether it be property values or access to anything around that area, it's really important to note here that any and every Twilight student is required to take Council Rock transportation. Bus or van picks them up at home, drops them off at 2 o'clock. That same bus or van picks them up at the CR Star Center or LSAC today at 5 o'clock, takes them home. They're not walking. They're not permitted to walk. They spend 3 hours a day at the school, 4 days a week, and they stay inside the building for all of those hours. So what's coming up? Upcoming meetings. We have a zoning hearing board coming up this coming Monday at Northampton Township that has a 6 o'clock start. The Planning Commission meeting actually just yesterday got bumped. It was going to be this coming Tuesday. It is now going to be Tuesday, December 10th. There's no big why behind that or mystical why behind it. It was just a paperwork issue. And the process works because, again, the whole thing leads up to Wednesday, December 18th, which is the date that we anticipate being in front of the Board of Supervisors at 7:30 p.m. And it is on that date that we will be seeking formal approval of this project. Now, let me end.
It's the 20th, not the 18th.
The 20th?
That's our meeting then.
Okay.
December 20th.
Whoa.
November. Oh, December.
December.
The 18th, the third one.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you. All right. I didn't want to end on that note because that's just logistics. I want to end on this note. I want to end on this note that says, and kind of amplifies what our mantra is in Council Rock. And it's been our mantra for many, many years. And that mantra says success for every student, every day. Every student. We don't handpick some here, handpick some there, and say, maybe, maybe not. No. All means all. Every student means every student. And it's with that in mind that I gave the quote up there to Mr. Chris English from the Courier-Times last week in saying that these programs serve as shining examples of public education serving the needs of all of its community's valued youth. And that I am tremendously proud of the positive impact that these three programs have had on countless CR students over many years. And so, by way of example, let me share with you just a handful of examples. So, students who would have in the past had it existed, and students who will attend the CR Star Center should it be approved on December 18th. Top left. That top left picture represents a former Sloan student who worked her way through college by working nights in order to be able to attend school, graduate from school, and today she is a physician's assistant at Jefferson Health, former Sloan student. Right below that, we have a former Achieve student. Remember, one of the goals of Achieve is this transition and readiness for independent living. We have a former Achieve student who lives right here in our CR community. He lives independently. He lives in an apartment, completely on his own. Now, he can't drive. but he does know how to use that Uber app. And he does use that Uber app. And that is what success looks like there. Below that, we have a former Sloan student. A few years ago, being taught, right? Being shaped and molded in the Sloan program. Today, he's a second decade public school teacher. He's one of my colleagues. He's one of our colleagues. And that makes me proud. So today, he's the one doing the shaping and the molding of today's youth. That is a former Sloan student. Beside that, bottom center, another former Sloan student. Business owner in our region. Successful business owner in our region. Grosses over $1 million annually. Former Sloan student. Bottom right, former Achieve students, and led by the parent of one particular former Achieve student, where they have opened up an auto detailing shop right here in Richboro, right across from the old Wawa. Primarily staffed by some of our recent graduates from our Achieve program, right in Richboro. That vocational training, that independent living, great example of it. Above that, a more recent example, a graduate from Sloan 2 years ago, now in her second year at Temple University, sophomore year, psychology major. How about that? Talk about some of these kinds of issues, student wellness, mental health, psych major, straight through our Sloan program. Above that, another former Sloan student. That former Sloan student has something in common with Dr. Lambert, with Dr. Elliott, and myself. That former Sloan student has his doctorate in education, has reached the pinnacle of academia in the educational field. Former Sloan student. Pretty awesome. And last, but most certainly not least, former Sloan student, serving our country, protecting the very freedoms that we enjoy sitting here tonight. Put on the uniform, fought for our country, fought for you, fought for me, fought for our freedom, earned a Purple Heart in the line of duty. Former Sloan student. So I'll end with this. Remember at the beginning, I said that there's really kind of a twofold meaning behind STAR. The first was the acronym. The second is I will say this, and I will sing this as loud as I can. These are 8 shining examples of Council Rock STAR students. No doubt about it. That's what the program is about. It's about making a difference. It's about serving a need. And all means all. Every student, every day. That word every means something. It means something to me. I think it means something to others as well. That's our mission. That's our reason for being. We educate them. We love them up during the process. And we make sure that they are ready to go out into the world and to dominate. And that's what you have examples of. And I would tell you, we could have done 2 or 3 more slides just like this. But we thought it might be a little bit overkill. So we'll stop there. So with that, I'm going to end my presentation. We will open this up to public comment at this point, which I believe Mr. Bollock is going to facilitate. And as folks come up, hopefully you had a chance to sign up. The sign-in sheets are or were out there, whether you are for, against, or neither. It's all fair. Tonight's forum, is about making sure that people have a clear understanding of what these programs are, who the kids are and aren't who inhabit these programs, and to make sure that we have a chance to hear from you, our community members, our constituents. So please feel free to come up and share whatever your truths are, whatever your thoughts and feelings are, and we ask that you be equally transparent with us as I have attempted to be with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Frazier. Before I move on, I just want to recognize that we do have all of our school board directors here. We didn't have to do a roll call, and I don't think we have to go around, but anyone who'd like to. And I will mention that Mr. Block is on the phone with us tonight. Okay, we're going to start the first round of this round of public comment. The first person that signed up is Ray Matlock. Mr. Matlock, if you just come up and state what town you're from.
My name is Ray Matlack, 120 West Linford Road, on the back side of the Richboro Middle School. Thank you, Doctor. Very good. Okay, I just want to remind the board that you have been elected to help provide the best education possible at the most cost-effective method you can for the residents of the district. Okay, obviously we're here to talk about the Star School. I'm going to repeat a lot of the things that you just said, and I apologize for that, but I had it before you did. Currently, 3 of the great programs are in the law school administration building in Newtown. Okay, about 17,000 square feet, as you said. The new proposed location is obviously in Richboro, 25,591 square feet. The cost per year at LSAC is $287, again, another thing that was mentioned. $287,000. The new school will be about $13.8 million, okay, all documented on your website. There have been previous comments by the board that this, in a different meeting, okay, that the space isn't enough at LSAC, which is even beside the point right now. Okay, there have been previous, when all said and done, the amount of students in the 3 programs is 120 to 150 students, okay, of all different types. Okay, this is where people can listen. Council Rock North capacity is 2761. Currently they have 647 students, and after redistricting they're going to have 1,800. That leaves approximately 900 spaces, let's call them, for students. To renovate that space, okay, to accommodate what's going on, I would expect it to be somewhere in the $1 to $2 million range. Now, do the residents want to pay the $1 to $2 million range or the $13.8 million range for a new school? Okay. If they want to build it, okay, there are other places and other options that they can pick that are going to be easier to get through the township and easier to get through the traffic, because I don't think the traffic plan's been done yet. So, you know, I think there's going to be additional cost actually on that, okay, that's going to have to be paid. A perfect example of a location would be over near the Newtown Middle School at this point in time. It's wide open, okay? So, but lastly, I want to bring up something in my past, okay? I was involved with the school district before a lot of the people that are here were. I've been here 33 and a half years. I actually work, my thermostats are on the building here. Okay, they're in Council Rock South. Okay, I worked on a project on Council Rock South, 2002. We bid the project. we were the basis of design on the project. Okay, there was an alternative manufacturer. The alternative manufacturer and someone else actually was a multi-million-dollar project, okay? And this multi-million-dollar project, the difference was $4,000. We were high, the basis of design. We lost the project, okay? Now, the school board picked the $4,000 deduct and the other contractor, and I couldn't be upset because we saved $4,000, okay? The board saved $4,000 of residents' money to do the work. Okay, so ultimately what I'm saying, I think you all know what it is. Council Rock North is the best alternative right now, especially for some of the things you were bringing up about location, et cetera. Okay? And in short, I'm going to end this. In short, I stated with a comment that the school board is elected to basically help provide proper education at the most cost-effective pricing for the residents and taxpayers. The current 5 years program is over $100 million, okay? If we were to pay $2 million to use Council Rock
Mr.
North,
Matlock, you're over a minute over your time. If you just wouldn't mind wrapping up, I appreciate it.
I'm trying to. I talk a lot. So if it's over, you're talking about 13.8 million, maybe a little bit more, okay? And you're talking about versus 2 million, okay? Which one? I would like to save $12 million as a resident. And that's all that I really have to say.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Carla Higgins, and after Ms. Higgins is Liam Wigginton. I'm going to just remind everyone to please keep your comments at 3 minutes. I'll just give you a wave at 3 minutes or close to there, so you know. Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Carla Higgins, and I live in Richboro, directly behind the proposed school. I work in human services. I have my entire career and supporting adults and children with intellectual disabilities and autism, not in the educational programs, but in the community. And I have personally witnessed for my entire career, children and parents travel their educational journeys in isolation because people don't understand what it's like when someone learns differently. And I welcome the school. I applaud your efforts, and it's wonderful that you're going to take this action to create a program so that children have the most optimal environment, because for my entire career, these children have always received the leftovers of space, of resources, and of attention. So thank you very much, and we'll put a sign up to welcome you.
Thank you, Ms. Higgins. We have Liam Wigginton next.
Andy.
Has left the conference.
Please, yes. Just come up and state your name and where you're from, please.
Good evening. My name is Liam Wigginton, the 2016 graduate of Council Rock Achieve. Our district is very fortunate to have the Achieve, Sloan, and Twilight programs, all of which are supported by dedicated, outstanding teachers and support staff. The Achieve program did an awesome job educating me on how to navigate the world, so it's time for me to pay back. I am hoping to educate the insensitive people that distributed "This message requires your immediate attention" flyer. I am referring to the neighborhood push back on moving these wonderful programs from their current Newtown location to Richboro Middle, or what will soon be known as the Council Rock Star Center. I am struggling here. Is it the concern of public safety? Is it property value? Or is it just plain prejudice against those that learn differently and require a smaller setting to grow and mature into young adults? If it is public safety, put your fears to rest. Never has a student of Sloan, Achieve, or Twilight encountered an incidence of criminal behavior during school hours, and never has any neighbor in the current Newtown location ever filed a complaint. To quote the insensitive flyer, high school students with disciplinary issues may negatively influence small children. This should not be a concern, since the Sloan School was formerly located next door to Goodnoe Elementary for 7 years with no incidents, not one. So public safety apparently is not the issue. Is it property value? The surrounding neighborhood in Newtown at the current location has not experienced a drop in home value because of proximity to these programs. So if it hasn't happened in Newtown, it certainly is not going to happen in Richboro. Same students, just a different location. It's a school, not a prison, which leaves us with prejudice against those that are different. And here is where I pity, but need to educate the people behind the flyer. It is said we are all born brave and trusting. People with differences must remain brave in order to navigate society's complexities. We have no choice but to be trusting, because with limited understanding and limited abilities to communicate, we always depend on the kindness of strangers. Up until this point, kindness is abundant in our Council Rock School District. Our community has always embraced those of special needs. In fact, 2 of Bucks County's largest special needs organizations were born in the Council Rock area, Miracle League and Athletes Helping Athletes. So tonight, I ask you to please not let a few insensitive Richboro residents change our way of thinking. It's not good publicity for Richboro, and especially not good publicity for Council Rock. And at the end of the day, all of their concerns are just that, concerns. Why? Because all of us live in the United States, where federal laws prohibit discrimination against people like me, people that are just different. Thank you for your time.
Okay, well said. Next up is Dean Giaconarchis. Am I saying that right? And after that is...
I have my questions answered, thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you, sir. Moving on to Anne Marie Milligan.
Hi, my name is Anne Marie Milligan. I kind of tick off a lot of boxes in this area tonight. I'm a mother of 2 children on the young adults on the autism spectrum. I am an employee. I'm a teaching assistant at Achieve. My oldest son graduated from Achieve 4 years ago. My youngest son is in his first year at Achieve. And I'm also a Northampton Township resident. And I also was an employee of Richboro Elementary for 9.5 years before I came to Achieve. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you. There's been a lot of controversy over the last few weeks. My heart was a little touched over some of the things that have been said about our kids, the Sloan kids, the Achieve kids, the Twilight kids. If I've ever experienced kindness and wonder and just so much fulfillment, it's been working at Achieve. My boys have taught me a different way of life, a different way of looking at life, a different way of living our lives. And to have the opportunity to bring that to Achieve has been one of my greatest gifts. So I thank all of you that sit here tonight that have taken this small population and given them the opportunity to grow and prosper. It sounds like a small number in comparison to the rest of the school district, but it's not as small as you think. You serve these children year after year. They will then go on to move into the community and give that much more. So I thank you, all of you, especially I wanted to say to Dr. Lambert, thank you for everything.
Thank you, Ms. Milligan. Jay Lawson, please.
My name is Jack Lawson from Richboro, and I am in full support of this program. My concern is, yes, a lot of people have shown concern and shock recently and have reacted to what they are learning. I feel that the people that immediately surround this property have been bamboozled. It's 70% of the residences around this property have no children in school. They're older. This is a mature neighborhood. And when I talk to neighbors, they're shocked. They knew nothing about this. And I don't think you did an effective, I don't think you communicated your progress in this topic effectively. And when all of us people who are going to have to be directly positioned to, we're losing some open space. We all like this big property out there, but I understand that the school itself is very beneficial, but I feel that you haven't given the people that are going to be surrounding this, you haven't given them enough time and information. You can't make everybody happy all the time, but I feel that a lot of the people that are immediately around this property were let down by the lack of information and the sudden decisions that they were made aware of. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Monica Fitzgerald, please. And after Ms. Fitzgerald is Eileen Silver.
Good evening. My name is Monica Fitzgerald, and I am the mother of a young man who graduated last June from the amazing Achieve program, and I am support staff at an elementary school in the district. To the people who oppose the STAR program, I pray that someday your children or your children's children do not need an alternative way of learning or never ever make one bad choice. These are wonderful programs. The Council Rock community has always been about educating and helping our youth to be successful by any method, whether it is mainstream or not, and we are very proud of this fact. If there is anyone in this community that does not accept all children and their differences, perhaps it is them who need to find another community to reside in. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fitzgerald. Eileen Silver.
Good evening. My name is Eileen Silver. I live in Richboro, but I am also a Northampton Township supervisor. I am here tonight because I wanted to hear the explanation that the board was going to give the residents of Northampton Township about the STAR project. I hope that anyone that has a problem, did not know the facts, is listening on TV or is here tonight. Because at our next meeting, the only thing that Northampton Township is going to be able to tell you is the size of the building, how much setbacks from the street, the number of parking spaces. We have no control over the program. Secondly, the property is owned by the Council Rock School District. Yes, we may be losing some fields, but after talking to some people on the board, they're looking to put some more in. They're not just going to lose them. And also, please, we're government. We can't tell someone who owns property what they can do with their property. They have to follow our ordinances, our land development, and that is where we are at. We have no control over the programs that will be going into that building. I'm also very for it, and I can't believe some of the things that I have heard about children who may have a problem. And another thing, I hope you will, at the end of the meeting, talk about why you picked that Richboro Middle School property and why it isn't in Newtown. I know the answers because I've asked the questions. I hope you will let people know here tonight why that is happening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Silver. John Engelhardt, please. And after John Engelhardt is Adam Kalachi, I believe it is.
Good evening. I promised myself I would write something down so I wouldn't be long-winded, but I just feel really good to be here. I'm extremely proud to be a Council Rock resident and also a Council Rock graduate. I got my two little girls here that are sitting back there, so if they're making noise, I'm sorry. But my oldest is 4 years old, and we're going through with a developmental pediatrician. And while I'm sitting back there thinking of, just what's going to happen next, and I hear the superintendent of my school district say that he's going to take care of every kid, that makes me feel really good. So I promise to stay on track now. My name is John Engelhardt. I'm a Council Rock graduate, Council Rock special education teacher in the Achieve program, Council Rock resident, and eventual Council Rock parent. The Achieve program and Sloan program are housed together at the LSAC building. It's been that way for the last 7 years. The reason I am here tonight is to share my experience working alongside the Sloan students and teaching staff. There's information being shared on the Sloan program via social media that is factually incorrect and, quite frankly, dangerous for parents and students to read. I am here to provide you with factual information regarding the Achieve and Sloan program. The Achieve program is the district's transition program for students 18 to 21 years old. Our program consists of students with autism, intellectual disability, some have limited communication skills, and some are nonverbal. My students are some of the most vulnerable students in the district. The Achieve program started 7 years ago, and when we first started, some of my students' parents had some concerns sharing a facility with an alternative school. These concerns were short-lived once my students' parents got to learn more information about the Sloan program and got to see firsthand the relationship between the students and the program. 7 years after these initial concerns, I think the parents, the students, and I know the staff would, have concerns that the programs did not share a facility together. I'd like to share a few of these powerful relationships formed between Achieve and Sloan students. The students that I'm going to read their first and last name, I've had permission from their parents. Gabriel Wolf was an Achieve student who is deaf and communicates through basic sign language. Gabriel developed a relationship with a Sloan student. Her name is Lauren. Lauren decided to learn sign language to better communicate with Gabriel. Gabriel and Lauren both graduated 3 years ago. When I reached out to Gabriel's mom to ask if I could share this relationship, I'd like to quote Mrs. Wolf's response. Again, both students graduated 3 years ago. Mrs. Wolf shared with me, Lauren told me last week that she would take care of Gabriel when I no longer can. And if anybody has a child with special needs, that's pretty powerful. The second story I'd like to share is one of our current students in the program. We're always looking for ways to motivate students. The team has tried a variety of rewards and motivators, but the motivator that works best is when this young man can spend 5 to 10 minutes with the Sloan students every day at the end of the day. You want to see the human spirit? You watch a young man that walks with his head down, that might have issues with his peers or even his teaching staff. But when that young man or young lady interacts with someone with special needs, you get to see what it's all about. Third story is at least 4 students from the Sloan program come to the NAC with us and serve as peer mentors. This is really important because it allows our staff to take a step back and allow those students to interact with their peers. Because as Dr. Frazier mentioned earlier, a huge part of our program is independent living skills. And at the end of the day, when our students phase out, we go away. Their peers will remain with them. The fourth story that I'd like to share is 2 weeks ago, a Sloan graduate reached out to my co-teacher and I to ask for advice on what college she should go to because she wanted to be, in her words, an achieved teacher. She recently completed her associate's degree and wants to be a teacher in a transition program very similar to ours. Matter of fact, she actually called this afternoon to look to see when she could get in and do her observation hours. The fifth and final one is we have another 2 students, one from the Achieve program and one from the Sloan program that graduated 2 years ago, that the Sloan student comes over and actually watches the Achieve student when that parent goes away. They don't call it babysitting. He's coming over, he's hanging out with his friend. I feel like we live in a time when things, events, politics tries to divide us. Sloan and Achieve students all live in our community. They come from every elementary school, both middle schools and high schools. Having the opportunity to really get to know the students in the Sloan program, I promise you that a majority of these students' issues aren't their own doing. Some of these student stories would bring most people to their knees. I've been pretty active on social media trying to make sure that the factual information is being posted. And I got a message in my inbox from a gentleman by the name of John Perrone, class of 1999. He went to the district's alternative school. He sent me a message that I think sums up a lot of the Sloan students. And I quote, "Alternative school was a huge help. I had issues going on at home. You know, my normal family, divorce, parents fighting, death of my brother, then my stepmother passed away. If not for the school, I would have been somebody to worry about. After high school, I went through the Marines, community college, have a family of 4, and have been with my wife for 18 years. Oh, and I first bought my first house at 30. I love this community and believe we must take care of our own. I have vivid memories of my high school experience. I did not attend the Sloan School, but as Mrs. McKee up here, as my 6th grade math teacher, I had difficult times. There were a lot of times that I felt like I didn't fit in, that I wasn't smart enough because I was pulled out of class for when it was time for reading or English, and that I was different than everyone else. But it was you that told me that I was okay and I was just good enough the way that I was. And that's the community, my family, my friends' parents, my teachers, my coaches. And I think it's important that every student get that opportunity where they know that we love and support them just as the way that it was for me. So thank you.
Kalachi. Good luck.
Yeah, tough to follow that, but, Hi, my name is Adam Kalachi, and I'm the lead teacher at Sloan School, and I've been a teacher at Sloan since 2001. Yes, the same Sloan School that was neighbors with Goodnow Elementary School for 6 years. The same Sloan School that had an outstanding relationship with the student, staff, and administration at Goodnow Elementary. The same Sloan students who volunteered each week as reading mentors with primary grade students. The same Sloan School that was unfairly labeled and stereotyped as those students. Well, let me tell you about those students that people are referencing about as being a negative influence in the Richboro area. Those students are your next door neighbors. Those students work in our community in well-known establishments such as Tanner's Market, El Barrio, La Stala, 59 Allen South. They are productive citizens in our community. Unfortunately, when it comes to their educational needs, those students, they need some help. There are roadblocks in the way for their success. There are a variety of reasons for these highly intelligent and talented students are not meeting success in the regular comprehensive high school. Some suffer from severe anxiety, which has led to school avoidance. Some are dealing with family tragedies, such as loss of a parent, or some are dealing with divorced parents and are simply overwhelmed with going to school each day at a large comprehensive high school. They crave and cherish the small, supportive environment that our school offers. We have created a sense of community and a place where our students can feel welcome and where they feel belong. It is upsetting to hear and see how members of the community are opposed to the Star Center and are willing to label these students as trouble, make them feel unwanted, and continue to add to their sense of poor self-worth and poor self-esteem. These are great kids, our kids, that we need to continue to support and make them feel like they matter. We should all take a lesson from those students and see how they interact and care for our Achieve students, as John referenced, and are accepting and protective to the most vulnerable students in the district. It is heartwarming and very reassuring to see the interactions between these two groups. It means something to them, and it means something to our students. One of the most powerful and rewarding parts of my day is seeing these genuine interactions take place. I caution those that speak about our kids and the damage that they are potentially doing, not only to the current population of students at Sloan, but to future Sloan students who may have reservations about coming for fear of being labeled and stereotyped. Please be aware of who you are referencing when you talk about not wanting those kids in our community. They are fragile high school kids who suffer from low self-esteem and plenty of self-doubt. People opposed to the Star Center moving to Richboro have made it even more difficult for them. Remember, when you speak about those kids, you're talking about children, our children of Council Rock. They should be made to feel welcome and not feel like an outcast. They are great kids. They are our kids, and not those kids. I believe in the school and the opportunity we provide the students in our community. I am proud of our school district for having the resources and willingness for a program like Sloan and the ability to create a new Star Center. Friends and colleagues of mine in other districts like Central Bucks are jealous of the program that we've developed. The Star Center should be a source of pride for our community and our district. I believe in Sloan School. I believe in the Achieve program. I believe in the Twilight program. I believe in Council Rock. And more importantly, I believe in our students. Thank you.
Ingrid Benedict, please. After Ms. Benedict, we have, I think it's Nicole, or Michael, sorry, Santine. Am I saying that right?
My name is Ingrid Benedict. It is Nicole Santini. My name is Ingrid Benedict. I'm very glad I came here tonight so I can understand the program. I appreciate the superintendent's words. I appreciate what you said, which touched my heart. The only issue that I have, or that my neighborhood has, is that I only found out about this about 3 weeks ago when I got a letter in the mail saying, hey, this is happening in your area from Northampton. I agree with Jack. The major issue that we have was, I don't think there was due diligence to inform us of what was going on, because it's not really your money, it's our money. So that's the only issue I have. I think it's a great program. I just wish I would have known about it, because now you guys are just playing catch up because people didn't know about the program, so there's a lot of preconceptions about it. And the major issue is, people feel that there was a secret handshake that was done to do this program because we weren't aware of it. My side of the street got a letter from Northampton, the other side of my street did not. So I think it was very strategic that not everyone knew what was going on. So that was the only issue, that it wasn't transparent and the due diligence wasn't done. Thank you.
Okay, Nicole Santini, please.
Hi. Actually, I do have the same issue because, again, we just surrounding the property where the soccer fields, we got to know. Nobody else didn't know what is going on. I'm completely supporting that program. Issue is the location. If you could find another place, because actually we're all enjoying listening and watching these soccer fields players, but now it will be a building, of course, it will be traffic problems. Again, I support Jack, Ingrid, the same. If you can find better location, but now it's went so far, it looks like there is no, it's done deal. Everybody here understands. It's done deal. So anything what we will tell, I'm not supporting completely the program, completely. I have a couple of friends, of course, in the neighborhood in Richboro who have kids with the same issues. They're lovely people, lovely children. I do support the program, location. And again, the same issue what Ingrid just mentioned and Jack, nobody knew about that. It's just only a couple houses, families who receive these letters, because it will be probably bigger concern from neighborhood about location, not about the program. But I don't know if anything we can do. You already made a decision, unfortunately. About location, I'm telling you. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, Michael Fitzgerald, please.
Good evening. My name is Mike Fitzgerald. I'm a resident of Holland. I had a son who graduated from Achieve. I'm also the proud co-founder of the not-for-profit Classic Rock Auto Detail, who actually has now the largest employer of special needs adults in Bucks County is in your community that pays a minimum wage. So thank you for that. We have 11 special needs adults right here in Richboro, right in proximity of the school that exists today. And I can tell you right now, they utilize the township, they utilize all the stores in the neighborhood, and they are giving back to the community by earning a wage in our community. So we got our inspiration. Part of our inspiration was having my son graduate and being part of the Achiever program. We learned, watching over those 2 years, that many of these children, these young adults, can be a protective part of the society. The unemployment rate in the special needs community is approaching 75%, right? It's an amazing number. So we set out through watching John and Steve and the great team of Achieve, how do we go about and give back to the community? We found a way, we were able to find a way to create a task-oriented business that we could locate right here in Bucks County and still be part of the Council Rock community. It was important for us to be able to give back to the community that gave back to my son. And it meant so much to me for that side. And by 2020, we expect to be able to partner with Achieve and start utilizing their students and be able to help them and teach them to be able to grow. We hope to inspire additional parents to be able to create additional jobs and opportunities for the special needs community in our own Council Rock community. One thing I've taken away from listening tonight, it's all great that it's not in my backyard. There's a school there today, our special needs office, our shop is in the same community. I don't see how that is any kind of a problem for our community. We should be embracing diversity. We should be tearing down biases. We should be accepting all people, all genders, all special needs adults, whether they are young, old, or in between. I tell people when special needs kids are young and they're little like a teddy bear. When they get older, they sometimes become a little bit more oh my goodness, I don't understand them. My son, who is nonverbal, doesn't communicate very well, trusts everybody, will go out and talk to anybody in the community. Mr. Funk will be able to tell you, boy, he was the mayor of Council Rock. He trusted everybody, he works with everybody, and he was embraced and was taught wonderful skill sets by Mr. Ruan back there. And he was able now to take those jobs, that functionality that he learned, and be able to take it and be able to become a working part of society. He also volunteers at St. Mary's Thrift Shop, which is now called CARES. They actually call him in to do extra work because of the work and the learning ability that he got from John and Steve. So it's a tremendous program. I encourage everybody, don't close your mind. Don't keep your biases. Open up your mind. Open up your pocketbooks. Embrace the community. Embrace those employers who utilize our special needs, our students, and go visit those shops. Learn about what they can do for the community, and be proud that Council Rock supports the special needs community unlike anybody else in the local district. So thank you very much for everything you do. Thank you.
We don't have anyone else that signed up for public comment. Would anyone else like to come up and speak? Yes, sir. Just come up and state your name and where you're from, please.
My name is Ronald Abraham. I moved into Richboro in 1976. I've seen a lot of changes over the years. For those of you that are worried about your value of your homes, I don't think that's a real concern. I think what they want to do tonight will increase your value. It'll show that Council Rock has an idea that is really different than other communities. I'm a specialist in rehabilitation medicine. I remember when Villa Joseph Maria wanted to sell part of their land back in the early 80s to homes. There was a lot of negative feeling then that it would decrease the value of other people's homes. That didn't happen. I also remember when Council Rock South was built. I'm around the corner from there. Oh, we worried about congestion, traffic, all this nonsense. It was okay. It was difficult for a little while, but then it worked out fine. As a specialist in rehabilitation medicine, I understand diversity, special needs, alternative medicine, and I think what you're doing is the right thing. The cost doesn't matter. The children matter. And unfortunately, some of you think that it's a waste of money to spend $13 million or $3 million. That's not a lot of money when you look at the world around us. Think of what the government's doing. We can do better here by helping children that need help that aren't getting it. Now, a new facility that's separate, I like what some of the folks said here tonight. There's feeling, there's empathy, and there's a real appreciation for what we've done over the last number of years in the Newtown facility. And I think an individual building will be beneficial to everyone. Will increase the feeling of Bucks County's Council Rock School District and build it up even higher. People talk about moving to our community because of the great school district. You always hear that all the time. Oh, it's a great school. I want my children to go there. This will actually add to that value, not decrease the value. So I appreciate all your interest and continue working hard. I normally don't come to these meetings because I'm busy as a practicing physician. And I understand what you're doing, and I appreciate your loyalty to your jobs and your non-paying jobs here tonight. Thank you all.
Is there anyone else for public comment? If there's anyone else, you can stand up behind the young lady coming up tonight and speak. Please
My
state
name
your
is
word.
Julie Lawson. I live in the property right behind the proposed school. I think the program is absolutely wonderful. I would like to know if the board can find a way to take some of that money and just rehabilitate RMS to give these young men and women a really great school to grow up in. You're talking about expanding this into the middle school system. You will have the room in that building if you do it properly. You could make it safe. It's a huge building. Use it for the kids after you run the swing schools through it. I would really like to see that happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Carol Bear. I back up to the Richboro Middle School. I live on Torresdale. I apologize, I'm not a public speaker, but I'm glad I came tonight. I only heard about everything going on a few weeks ago. You can't imagine my family situation. I have so much respect for everything that STAR does. I can't tell you. It breaks my heart that you're making this a situation that it's the neighbors against a program like this. My neighbors don't feel that way. We don't know anything about this. Tonight was a great education. I thank you for the information. Why couldn't we have known about it before? Now all of a sudden it's coming towards us. There's property value, whatever. It has nothing to do with that. Why couldn't we have known about this? Some people got a letter, some people got a nasty letter. Why couldn't it be general public information? That's all we need. All we need is information and education. Why couldn't we share that? I don't understand it. I thank everybody for the information tonight. I have a much better understanding of the whole situation, and I appreciate that. The last meeting I went to was tabled. I stood out in the rain with about 100 other people. It just seems odd that it's coming to us this way. And I apologize to anybody who's offended. Please, I have no bias. If you knew my situation, you would know that. I just want information. That's all I'm asking for. Thank you.
Okay, do we have anyone else? Okay. Dr. Fraser would like to respond.
In terms of communication or lack thereof, I noted 4 different times that was brought up. It's always difficult for a school district to communicate with the entirety of the population in our 72 square miles. We have a variety of databases and systems, and so we do a very proactive job of communicating with our moms and dads and other contacts that are directly tied to students in our system. Admittedly, it's hard to reach out short of doing a physical mailing and sending that out through the mail. It's hard to have that kind of communication reach the outer reaches. Not that this is going to solve everything, but what I would encourage anyone here tonight or anyone listening at home to do is that we do have what's called an e-news system that goes out every Friday by our communication specialist, and that's where this kind of information is found. And then there are sometimes other just one-off letters that I'll do or someone else will do and send out that might be informational in nature. So if you haven't signed up for that with an email address, I would encourage you to sign up for that with your email. You can just go right online, find e-news, and plug in your email address, and now you're in that email system. We got out of the business of paying for postage and mailing out to all the residents a long time ago, just because we're under, as are all school districts, some pretty significant budgetary constraints. So it's a difficult problem for us as a school district. We certainly want to be reaching you. One way that we can do that is by having you sign up for our system. That way we can be sure that we reach you. And by all means, if whether you found out about this 2 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago, I'm the superintendent of the district. My name is Robert Frazier. rfrazier@crsd.org. Email me. My phone rings down the hall. 215-944-1035. Seriously, please call me. I didn't field a single email or a single phone call over these past few weeks, and I certainly would have been happy to. It's why we ended up putting this forum together, because I had the sense with a lot of what I had been reading or hearing about out there that people just didn't know any better. I don't think there was anything harmful or malicious to it. I think it was just, you don't know what you don't know. So we wanted to put tonight together to provide some factual information, and it sounds like for the most part that has been well received. We desire to continue to do that. So if you haven't signed up for our e-news system, please do. Sometimes there's information that we just send out to parents, but with the general school district information, we send that out to all community members who are signed up for our system as well. So that's really the best and really the easiest way of doing so. So with that, I'll simply say thank you to everyone. I appreciate everything that has been said here this evening by our community, whether it's for or against. It's all valued, it's all respected, and again, for us, this process went back to the spring. We were engaged with the commercial real estate agents really back last winter. So you haven't been, some of you anyway, haven't been along for that ride, and I regret that. But please know that you've been heard tonight, and if you do wish to even after tonight reach out in a more private, intimate setting, I just gave you my email and my phone number, so please take advantage of it. I'd welcome the opportunity to talk further about these programs, about the adults who support and work with the kids in these programs, and put a special smile on my face to talk about the kids themselves. So please feel free to reach out. And the rationale behind it, the location, keeping these kids together, all of the above, it's a worthy, valuable conversation. It's a conversation that we should have, and one that I would love to have. So please do not hesitate to reach out directly to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Curry. Are there any board comments? Mr. Hidalgo? Go ahead.
Some people had asked about alternatives or why we chose that location. I think Eileen asked.
We're still in session, so if you're gonna leave, if you could just try to leave quietly because the board is making some comments.
Eileen had asked about the location and why that location.
So why that location? And there was a reference made to why not Newtown. I'm not real sure what was being referenced there in terms of Newtown. And Mr. Taylor, I'm going to look at you to see.
I'll field it. Newtown Middle School was what the reference was.
So I am completely unaware of any space that we would have to build this at Newtown, on the Newtown Middle School property, given where Tyler Park abuts.
Right, that's correct. We have very few athletic fields at the Newtown Middle School. There is really no room for an independent structure on that site. We would lose programmatic space that we need for PE and other school programs.
Yeah. So if that's what was meant by Newtown, I think that's your answer. That's why I was a little bit confused by it, because there literally isn't room on that campus, just like I would say there isn't room on the Holland Middle School campus. So the Richboro Middle School campus is definitely the place that has the space. It's also, as we talked about earlier, in closest proximity to the businesses that we need from an Achieve standpoint. It's land that we own as opposed to going out and purchasing land. So it's a fiscal win. It's a programmatic win. It keeps all three of these programs together. Somebody had mentioned about retrofitting Richboro Middle School. I had referenced that when I was at the podium. The dollar cost on that was, and I'm ballparking at this point because it's been a while, somewhere around $22 million or so.
More than that.
More than that?
Well,
$22 million. It went from 13 to 20 out to 22 million. What is the number?
Excuse me.
We're talking about two different things. So what we are proposing is a new build on the campus next to Richboro Middle School. That price tag will not exceed $13.8 million. Separate conversation from that we had several months ago, even years ago at this point, that someone at the podium had asked about was, instead of doing this separate building, why not just wait until we're done using Richboro Middle School as a swing school and then retrofit that building for these 3 programs? That's a much bigger building, and it's a tired building. Boiler systems, the entire infrastructure, everything needs to be replaced. So that's not a 25,000 or a 26,000 square foot building. That's substantially larger, and therefore the price tag to do that is larger. So we said no to that because it's a lot more work. It's more space than what we need. We're not going to spend 22 or 24 million,
It's
whatever the price
32,
tag was.
but we'd have to re-look at our public meetings and pull the number up.
Right,
so.
from a couple years ago, really.
Yeah.
So 13.8 million is far more palatable than anything that's going to be in excess of 20 million. So that's the reason for that, from a fiscal standpoint.
Yes, please.
All right, thanks. So, thank you for that, Dr. Frazier. I wanted to say thank you to everybody who came out and poured their heart and soul in support of the program, because I think we're talking about 2 different things here. The program is separate from the building going into that location, and I think that's been mixed together in that letter that came out. It's very unfortunate, and I would like to speak with the person who wrote, or the group of people who wrote with that. I'd be happy to get together and talk with you. And if you felt bamboozled and sideswiped, I do feel for you. That's important. That's a real issue that we can talk about, transparency and communication, especially as you said, it just came to, we talked about it in April, and now all of a sudden you're getting this letter. I would be upset too for that reason, but I would never ever be upset about the students in the program, and I couldn't defend it any better than what people have done here today. The people who work in the programs, students like Liam, thank you so much. You brought tears to my, of joy to my heart. So thank you for doing that. And so to close out, I just want to actually apologize to the people for not feeling that we've communicated properly to you. And we're going to try our best to improve that. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hidalgo. Anyone else? No? I'll just make a brief comment. So I'm going to disagree a little bit with Mr. Hidalgo, and not to be contradictory or not to be combative, but I really don't know what more we could have done to notify the public. We had several televised meetings. We've talked about this 2 years ago, and I do think that number was about $32 million to renovate Richboro Middle School for this program, and I was the one that said, I'm willing to bet that we can find a place somewhere in Council Rock that's less than $32 million. And then we hired I was one of the people, if not the person that pushed to hire a commercial realtor who scoured our district for how many months? 6 months?
Yeah.
To see if there was another building where we could house these very, very vital and required programs. And we couldn't find one. And Richboro Middle School is a property that we own. Frankly, we could have sold it to a developer. That's nothing that anyone on this board wanted to do. We wanted to have a school program on there. We wanted to maintain as much as we could. So while I don't want to be not compassionate with your concerns about not being notified, again, we're a public school district. Everything is out there in the public. It's been on YouTube. It's been on the newspapers, on TV. I don't know what more we could do. I guess we could have mailed a letter to everybody involved around, but that's not a requirement that we have, and it's frankly not something that's affordable, and you might have been upset about that. I can't comment to the letters that the township mailed, but I know that they have a requirement when there's zoning issues, and I'm sure that they followed their requirements. You can address that with the township. What I think is that fast forward after this building is built, and it's maybe less than 5 years, I think you folks are going to be thankful that this building and this program is in your backyard. And I hope that's the case, but I can almost guarantee that that'll be the case. Council Rock's a great school district. This is going to be a fabulous facility. It's a special type of facility because it should be. We cannot put these kids effectively into Council Rock North. Again, we looked at that. These kids thrive in a non-traditional school environment, and we want our children to thrive, each and every one of them every day, as Dr. Frazier said. So I appreciate this forum. Bernadette Heenan, I think, was here. She actually mentioned to me that, Mark, you should have a forum. We contacted Dr. Frazier and got this together very, very quickly. Thank you, Ms. Heenan. who always keeps her fingers on the pulse of this community. So I hope that you continue to be informed. I hope that you pay attention to what's going on in our district because it is vitally important. Thank you very much. Sorry, anybody else?
Just wait till you adjourn.
Okay, we're adjourned.
We have another meeting now.
Yeah.
Across the hall.
Across the hall.
Thanks.